I had a knee the size of a football and a heart about to break. That's how my world turned upside down at 68 years old, trapped in my own home, watching my wife of 42 years destroy everything we'd built together. Like this video, if you've ever felt betrayed when you were at your most vulnerable. My name is George, and what I'm about to tell you will make you question everything you think you know about marriage, loyalty, and the people closest to you. Because sometimes, the person who promised to stand by you in sickness and in health is the same person who abandons you when you need them most. Last summer, I finally gave in. Decades of factory work had destroyed my knees. Every step felt like broken glass grinding against bone. At 68, I was too proud to admit I needed help, but I couldn't ignore the pain anymore. The knee replacement surgery was supposed to give me my life back. Instead, it gave me a front row seat to the destruction of my marriage. My daughter Sarah converted our spare room into what she called a recovery suite. A big recliner that became my prison, a bedside table stacked with pill bottles that reminded me daily of my weakness, and a picture window that looked out on our quiet cul-de-sac where I would witness the unthinkable. Those first days home were brutal. My leg was wrapped like a mummy, propped up on pillows that never seemed to be in the right position. Every movement sent lightning bolts of agony up my spine. I couldn't shower alone. I couldn't even get to the bathroom without help. But I had Susan, my wife of 42 years, the woman who'd stood by me through job losses, family deaths, and every challenge life had thrown at us. She made soup, changed my ice packs, helped me shuffle those painful steps to the bathroom. She was my lifeline. Or so I thought. That's when Jack entered our lives like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Jack had moved in 3 years ago with his wife, but she'd left him 6 months before my surgery. He was a retired firefighter, 55 years old, with those kind eyes that women seem to fall for, and strong hands that could fix anything. When Susan called to ask if he could help with our lawn and trash cans, I was grateful. I thought we had a good neighbor. I should have known better. At first, everything seemed normal. Jack would come by, wave at me through my window prison, and head to our garage to borrow tools. Susan would stand on the porch and chat with him about the weather or the latest neighborhood gossip. Normal neighbor stuff, right? But as days turned into weeks, I started noticing things. Their conversations were getting longer. Much longer. One afternoon, I watched them through my window as they stood by our mailbox. They were laughing at some private joke I couldn't hear. Susan touched his arm. He brushed a leaf from her hair. A flicker of jealousy sparked in my chest, but I quickly pushed it down. "Don't be ridiculous, George," I told myself. "They're just being neighborly." But here's what I learned the hard way. Sometimes your gut knows things before your mind is ready to accept them. The moment that shattered my world happened on a sunny Tuesday morning. Birds were chirping outside my window, and the smell of fresh-cut grass drifted through the open air. I'd been dozing off in my recliner when a soft sound woke me up. I shifted in my chair, trying to get comfortable, when I caught sight of something in our driveway that made my blood run cold. Susan was standing there wearing the orange cardigan I'd bought her for our last anniversary. Jack was with her. He bent his head toward hers, and then they embraced. Their lips met. My wife of 42 years was kissing another man in our own driveway, while I sat helpless, watching through the window like some invalid voyeur. My breath caught in my throat. It felt like someone had reached into my chest and squeezed my heart until it stopped beating. I gripped the armrests of my recliner so hard my knuckles went white. "Maybe I'm imagining this," I whispered to the empty room. I blinked hard, hoping it was some pain medication-induced hallucination. But when I looked again, the image was burned into my retinas like a brand. Share this video if you've ever caught someone you trusted in an unforgivable lie. Anger flooded through me first, hot and consuming. Then came the confusion. How long had this been going on? And finally, the humiliation. Here I was, literally laid up and helpless, and my own wife was carrying on with another man right under my nose. Tears pricked my eyes, but I held them back. I refused to cry over someone who had just stabbed me in the back when I was at my most vulnerable. When Jack finally left, I knew I had to say something. The silence in that house was deafening. Every tick of the clock felt like a countdown to the end of my marriage. "Susan," I called out, my voice hoarser than I expected. "Can you come sit with me for a minute?" She appeared in the doorway, and I could see it in her face immediately. She knew that I knew. Her shoulders sagged like she'd been carrying this secret like a heavy weight, and was almost relieved to put it down. I stared at the bandages on my leg because I couldn't bring myself to meet her eyes. "Are you seeing him?" The question hung in the air between us like a loaded gun. Susan swallowed hard, and when she spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper.
"George, I didn't plan this."
"That's not what I asked," I said, finally looking up at her. "Are you seeing him?" She sat down on the edge of the bed, her hands twisted in her lap.
"We were just talking at first. You were asleep most of the time. Jack told me about his wife leaving, how lonely he was. I told him about how hard it's been, how scared I am."
"Scared of what?" I demanded.
"Of losing myself,"
she said, and then the tears started.
"George, we connected. It happened once. I swear, it was just once."
What would you do if someone told you this? Comment your thoughts below. Just once. As if that made it better. As if betraying 4 decades of marriage was acceptable because it only happened once. But here's the twisted part. Even as rage consumed me, I felt a strange sense of understanding creeping in. I had been consumed by my pain and recovery. I'd been snapping at her, complaining about everything from the food being too cold to the room being too hot. Had I made her feel like a nurse instead of a wife? That thought hurt almost as much as the betrayal itself. "Do you love him?" The words felt like razor blades coming out of my throat. Susan wiped her nose with the back of her hand.
"I don't know,"
she said.
"He makes me feel noticed. I feel young around him. We talk about dreams and the future. With you, lately, we just talk about medications and doctor appointments. I'm exhausted, George."
Exhausted. She was exhausted taking care of the man she'd promised to love in sickness and in health. But then she said something that hit me like a freight train.
"There's something else,"
she whispered, not meeting my eyes.
"Something I haven't told you."
My heart stopped. What? But what I discovered next about Dr. Peterson would shatter everything I thought I knew about trust. Stay with me. You need to hear this.
"This isn't the first time."
The room started spinning. What do you mean?
"Remember when you had your back surgery 3 years ago, and when you were laid up with pneumonia 2 winters ago?"
Her voice was getting smaller and smaller.
"Jack wasn't the first."
Like this video, if you've ever discovered that someone's betrayal was worse than you imagined. I felt like I was drowning. Not once, but multiple times. Multiple men. Years of deception while I'd been at my weakest, most vulnerable moments. "Who?" I managed to choke out.
"Dr. Peterson during your back surgery, Tom from the grocery store when you had pneumonia, and now Jack."
Dr. Peterson. Our family doctor. The man who'd been treating me for 15 years had been sleeping with my wife while I recovered from surgery in this very room. "How many others?" I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted to know. She just looked at me with tears streaming down her face and said nothing, which told me everything. We spent the next week in an emotional wasteland. I barely slept. Susan moved to the couch, but I could hear her crying at night. Jack stopped coming over, but I knew they were still in contact. I could see her texting constantly. Then came the morning that destroyed what was left of my world. Susan sat on the edge of my bed, and I could see she'd made a decision.
I think I need space,
She said, not looking at me.
Jack has asked me to move in with him. I'm going to go.
Move in with him. After 42 years of marriage, she was leaving me for a man she'd known for 3 years. Susan, please, I begged, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. Wait until I can walk again. Let's go to counseling. Think about our grandchildren. Think about everything we've built together. She shook her head.
If I stay, I'll resent you even more than I already do. If I leave now, maybe we both have a chance to figure ourselves out.
Resent me. For getting old. For getting sick. For needing her. She packed a duffel bag with 42 years of memories and walked out that door like I was nothing. Subscribe if you've ever been abandoned by someone who was supposed to love you unconditionally. The house felt like a tomb after she'd left. Just me, my pain, and the deafening silence of abandonment. Our daughter Sarah came to stay with me until I could walk on my own. She made sure I ate, changed my bandages, and tried to keep my spirits up. But every night, I found myself staring at the ceiling, replaying that kiss in the driveway, thinking about Dr. Peterson, about Tom from the grocery store, about all the others I probably didn't even know about. Friends dropped off casseroles and whispered things like, "I can't believe she did that to you." Some urged me to hate her. Some told me to forgive and forget. But none of them had lived through what I was living through. The worst part wasn't the betrayal itself. It was realizing that the woman I'd shared my life with, the woman I'd trusted completely, had been living a lie for years. Maybe our entire marriage was a lie. Comment below and tell me, have you ever questioned everything you thought you knew about someone? But then, something happened that I never saw coming. 3 months after Susan left, I got a call from Jack. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up.
"George,"
He said, and his voice sounded broken.
"I need to tell you something."
I listened in stunned silence as Jack told me the truth. Susan hadn't just been cheating on me. She'd been cheating on him too, with Dr. Peterson. Again.
"She never stopped seeing him.
Jack said.
The whole time she was with me, she was still, I found out last week, she's moved in with him now."
So Jack, the man who'd stolen my wife, had his heart broken by the same woman in the exact same way.
"I'm sorry, George,"
He said.
"I'm sorry for what I did to you. I thought what we had was real."
After I hung up, I sat in my chair and started laughing. Not because it was funny, but because it was so absurd. The woman who destroyed 2 marriages was now destroying a 3rd. Looking back now, almost a year later, I can see things more clearly. My knee is stronger. I can walk without pain. I've started swimming at the community center and even made some new friends. Susan sent me a birthday card that just said,
I hope you're healing. I'm sorry.
I didn't reply. Healing isn't linear. Some days I'm angry. Some days I'm sad. But most days now, I'm grateful. Grateful that I learned who she really was before I wasted any more years of my life. I realized that illness magnifies cracks that already existed. Our marriage had been coasting for years, but I'd been too blind to see it. Does that excuse what she did? Absolutely not. Betraying someone when they're vulnerable is unforgivable, but carrying that bitterness was only hurting me. Hit subscribe if this story resonated with you, and share your own story in the comments below. Have you ever felt abandoned when you needed someone most? How did you find the strength to move forward? Because I'm here to tell you, you can survive betrayal. You can rebuild. And sometimes, losing someone who never truly loved you is the greatest gift you'll ever receive. You're stronger than you know,